Hello, welcome to a special episode where we're going to be talking all about the factory that Impala and I built. Man, this thing was so fun to build and we got so much packed in here. So I thought let's take a special episode to do a world tour, or I guess just a factory tour of what we built here. So let's jump in. Okay, and from the intro, you saw roughly what this looks like from around here, but I want to jump back in time and kind of show you what this looked like before there was a factory here, because this was completely different. There's a whole bunch of extra land underneath this, and there was a whole village. So let's jump into a little bit of a flyover of what this area looked like before. And now let's see what it looks like now. From that before and after, you can see we changed this so much, but let's kind of jump into the tour aspect of it. So whenever you come to the Craftworks world, we have our portal that we haven't done anything with just yet, but the idea is that you'd be coming in on a major road into this factory. And this is where all the different semis come in, where people are working. So we've got our different trucks out here. So we got a trailer here, a semi truck, another trailer. But the idea we were going for is that these little forklifts are helping to load them out or load them up so that we could ship all of our products out to the different areas. If you haven't seen, we put a truckload out in the end, but here is E delivering a pallet out to the semi truck. It looks like Tobe's already dropped his off. We've got Lane putting one on there right now, and luckily we have Millie to drive this out once it's packed. So those are really kind of the fun little elements that we tried to put out here. So we've added some trees, we've got the different wings, but we wanted to make sure that this factory, and I'm going to jump up here just for a minute, didn't just look like a factory, but we really wanted to make it feel like an environment, that there were lots of people working out here, and if we jump in, that's where all the action is. So coming into the factory, immediately you start seeing a lot of different stuff here. We've got a bunch of crates ready to go. Impala, we put him to work. He's driving a forklift. Now, I don't know if everyone out here is forklift certified, but don't tell anybody that. We've got a lot of people working out here that maybe don't have forklift training, but we'll pretend they do. But we've got the different pallets here, and really this is just setting the stage for all the different machines that we built. So if you've been following along, or if you're brand new here, really what we have here is a whole wing, which I don't want to spoil just yet. If you haven't seen it, is where we get all of our colors, all of our dyes from. Then we have a place where we put it into concrete, terracotta, and that's what we ship out. So the colors, and then the things that you can color. But what we had to do in this factory, and in each of these four corners, is going to be the same thing, but we knew we needed some bone meal. So Impala came in here and followed a tutorial. If you haven't seen that, go look it up. But essentially what this is doing is making a stone to moss, and then it comes down here and makes bone meal. Now bone meal is what powers this whole big factory, so this is a critical piece that we need to have in. Now a lot of these farms are going to be loud, so I'm actually going to turn this one off so we don't keep hearing it in the background. But essentially, that's going to come down, if I can get down, into these composters. It gets fed back up into the farm and then down here. So any of the extra we can take off and bring over to all of our flower farms. So the color wing of the factory is where we have pretty much all of our farms, where we get all the different dyes. You can see them marked here. We'll give an example of that here in a second. But what we were going to do long term that we didn't quite get to was that all of the different bone meal farms that are in each of these four corners would feed into this machine. Now this one, we have a manual way of putting some bone meal in. And what's cool is it's going to be shot up and go through these pipes to wherever you see the light on. So with this light on, we should see, yep, there's that bone meal falling in. There's a lever on the back so we can actually decide which one of these we want to go to. But we put that bone meal in and it comes up and feeds that farm. So that's kind of our cool way of getting bone meal from all the bone meal generators. Wow, almost couldn't say that. all the way in to all the different farms. All right, so now that we know how the bone meal gets in there, let's talk about a few of these farms. So these farms are my double wide flower farm. Now you can go look at these tutorials on my channel. I've got them, they're both double wide, and what I really like about this is all the redstone is hidden underneath the farm. So we don't really have that much hanging out other than maybe like this strip of redstone and these dispensers. But all we gotta do is come in and flip this. And it's a little loud, so I'm gonna back up a bit. But you can see we placed this one perfect where there were a bunch of blue flowers. Now I'm gonna turn that off. So what that does is sweeps it down and actually sends it to an underground tunnel, which then brings it up here. So if we get where the blue flowers are, yep, we can see those whiz them by, and they will eventually just come into here. We've got plenty of them, so they're rolling in. But that farm was kind of how we centered the whole rest of the factory. We knew that we needed this spot for blue flowers, and so that's why we built the factory where we did. So that is our blue flower farm. Great, the next one here is a pickle farm. If you've never built a pickle farm, man, these generate so many, and I did a double wide because I didn't know how much lime green dye we would need, so I actually designed this one as well. And another plug, you can go check out that tutorial if you ever want to build these. But it really works kind of the same. It's got a shifting floor, but on this one we need to bone meal it from the top. So all of our bone meal's up here in the top. And this one, just like the other one, we flip on. This one's a little quieter, but you can see how many pickles it shoots out pretty quick. Let's turn that back off. They're gonna float up, go through that same channel, and again you can see them over there whipping around. So that's how easy it was for us to get this. Now this one does have a few pickles that sometimes get stuck. No big deal because it produces so much that I think we ran this like, I don't know, 2 or 3 times is all the whole season, because you're gonna get so many pickles. You can see them still whipping around over there. So plenty, there was plenty of them in here. So that is how we got our lime green, and that was our blue. Next is essentially that same farm, but over here it was in a different spot. So this is going to give us our reds, our yellows, and then the 2 for the light gray. I forget all the flower names, but if we turn this one on here, let's see if the bone meal's loaded. Yep, and it's super loud. But you can see those things flushing out there. And they're gonna go in. Let's hurry and turn this off before it goes another round. Okay, now that should be turned off, but all that's gonna basically do is get flushed down. Uh-oh, looks like I, at some point, blocked this over. Let's break that out. Great, now that's all gonna get flushed out. I don't know why I keep saying flushed, but you're gonna see those are jumping up. That's not gonna work out real great. But what I ended up doing with the storage system over here is those things are actually going to keep looping around, because sometimes they can overwhelm what's there. So you can see there they go again. They'll keep doing that over and over again. Not ideal, but I found that it doesn't really take that long. They're not going to despawn. They'll all get sucked up. And so that's just going to go. So now we've got our 3 main flower farms here. The next contraption we built was basically our 2 high flower farms. So we've got the red, the yellow, the pink, and the magenta in here. Now these ones are going to work a little different because we got to kind of turn them on from the top. These farms are pretty easy to build. You don't need to run them too much, but essentially all it is in here is a dispenser, an observer, a redstone, and a switch. You turn this on, you can see it making more down there, and you can turn them off. These are super easy. We just have a line of hoppers underneath. It's shooting them out, and as you can probably guess, there they are shooting up. So those get put in here pretty easy. They whip around, kind of the same deal, and get put into the farm. Now with the storage is pretty much your standard sorting system where the items go across. There's a filter behind here, which is whatever flower it is. Oh, and I even put subscribe to Cube as the filter. I forgot I did that. But essentially all the different flowers are going to come in here. There's a few things like cactus and the cocoa beans I'll show you here in a minute. And then I actually used this same loop so that we could put all the dies in. Now what's kind of fun here, and I'll pick maybe some pink here real quick, is I liked the interaction we did with bone meal there. So this machine, if you're over dyeing all the different concretes and you have extra, you can actually just chuck the dye in this one. It's gonna pop up, it's gonna come out the tube over there, and then it's gonna come across, and we should see the pink start coming in here in just a second. Yep, there it is. And so that's gonna go in. So that's really kind of nice because we can have the flowers and the dyes all in one loop. It'll all get sorted. And man, that sorting system works so great for us. Now that you've seen where it's all stored and where some of the flowers come from, we do have a few farms that were a little on the bigger side, so we put them underground. So the first thing we're going to start with is, we'll come back to these machines here in a minute, is we're going to drop down this chute. Now, green dye is always hard to get because you have to get them from cactuses and you have to smell them. So very early on, I built this cactus farm. It's a little bit hard to see, so let's maybe come around. I think I have an opening here on the side. Yep, I do. It's very tall. There are 4 different stories. I put an extra floor in here so that the ones up there wouldn't fall down and hit these. But the cactuses just keep popping off. There's one you see. It's gonna go down. There's a whole tunnel there. Let's run back over here if I can get out. There's a whole tunnel system that kind of helps us get that over here. And let's see, I don't know if I covered it over or not. Oh yeah, here we go. So it's gonna come across from down here. You just saw a cactus go in. It's gonna shoot up into the machines that we have up here. So coming up that water chute, you can see that we have these. Now they look like just machines, but here is where that water comes up. And just behind here, we actually have a splitter where these items can either come over and go into this machine, or they can go in here and go up. This one, if it goes up, goes right into that same sorting system that we have up there. And that's how we get the cactus up there. But sometimes you get too much cactus. So in this one, it's going to be a little harder to see. But we actually have, this is that splitter where I can decide if it goes over here into a composting system or goes there into the sorting system. So in the composter, essentially what it's going to do is come on over here and then get composted down into more bone meal. We use so much bone meal out here, we need another way. And the other thing that's hard to show you, but there is a filter system. I have 3 of them right through here, that whenever we run the flower farms upstairs, they bring in those seeds and put them in those same composters. Because we don't need seeds, we can just compost them. So this is the machine that does all that composting for us. Now these levers don't do anything, they're just for fun. Oh, it looks like it does move that. But this is really just decoration. Added some other little decorations through here. But that is kind of how the cactus farm works, and our composters for all those seeds. Oh, and I guess I can kind of show this, but all those farms where they drop and run the flowers, that's what's right above this. If we broke into there, it runs across there and then runs across this and then up there, and that's how it gets into those farms. Okay, and now the last, well, I think we have one more farm after this to show, is really this cocoa bean farm. Now these cocoa bean farms are really easy to make. And especially in this one, I found a way to do it without using vertical redstone. So in this one, really what happens is you click on this note block, these get shifted up, they hit this wall, the wall state changes, and so this will look and see that wall change and push the pistons back down. So I'm going to do this, it's pretty quick, and again I have a tutorial if you want to do this. So I'm going to press this. You see it's so quick because that goes up, wall changes, it makes the pistons fire, and it all comes down. So you can harvest it pretty easy, come through, grab all of this, and then just walk through and replant it. Pretty easy. So I'm going to replant this real quick before we go look at our final farm. Okay, and with those all replanted, we're ready to go up here and drop these off. I was going to make a special chute for them to go in and be brought up, but it's easy enough just to double click those in, and we've got the cocoa beans in. So that kind of brings us to all the different flower farms and different farms that we needed. And with that, it got us pretty much all the dyes that we were going to need. When you combine some of them, like the blue flowers and some bone meal, that's how we got the light blue. But really down here on the black scale, I guess with the black and the dark gray, we weren't really able to get those without some squid ink or with the nether flowers. What are those called? Wither flowers. I forget what they're called, but we needed a way to craft black ink. So I'm going to take a sleep real quick here because it looks like it's night, because we need to go out to where we get the black ink. So let me sleep and then we'll fly out there. And with a new day, we are ready to go out. Now, we couldn't really build this portion inside of the factory. So Impala actually hollowed out a whole river over here. And you can see how much work he had to do. There was so much water in here. I think he had a few crafters come and help him. But we drained all of this water. He drained all of it and built this ink farm. So essentially they spawn up there. They drop down here, it gets shot over, and there's our squid ink. Now what we did is we wanted a way for the black ink to get there, so we didn't have to store it twice, once here and once in the factory. So we put some crafting tables. We can come in here, get that black ink pretty easy. This is where those auto crafters in the next update are going to come, because we could have an auto craft and then shoot. But all we have to do here is come in, throw that out, it goes into a water stream. We won't travel the whole water stream, but it goes all the way down and up into the factory storage. All right, so that gets us pretty much all of, oh, there's a fish. I guess it's still working while we're close. But that gets us all the different dyes that we needed. We've kind of just been smelting what we needed to, crafting all the other things we needed to. So that, let's fly in here, see if we can do this successfully. Yes, we can do it. Is put this into the concrete machine that Impala built. Now, I'm not going to run this because I was never certified or trained on it. But the idea is that you sit up here, it's shooting the concrete too, you're placing it. It comes over, drops it down, puts it in here, and then the TNT drops down, explodes it, puts it in that water chute, and let's see if I can not die, puts it all down here in these chests, which it looks like we have some building materials still in here, but that was pretty nice because it could crank this out nice and fast. Able to sort it down here. Oh, it looks like we've been doing a little work down here and getting that concrete so we could sell it. Looks like we've got a simple chute that comes up here, and then the whole rest of this area really is decoration, because this is a pretty cool machine. It just does its job, cranks it out, and we get our concrete pretty quick. Now, one thing that I kind of brushed by is this building. It's a guy that would not sell us his property. At least that's the lore, is that he wouldn't sell us his property when we started building this. And so we built the whole factory around it, and so he's still in here. And so that's kind of the funny little piece that we wanted, is that this guy would not sell out his land to the factory. It's a mega factory, but he did not want us coming in. And as you saw earlier, this area used to be a village. So if we actually fly out here, and I'm going to hope that there is not much of, I don't know, zombies or bad guys under here, but you can see this whole thing is floating. We had to put a lot of land to kind of support that factory, and we never filled in under here. And the funny thing is, we actually never even took out this house, and so there's still a horse, there's still the croplands, which looks like we took the crops out, but there's still even 2 horses in their pen. And so we kind of use this as the place that we chose which banner we were going to use. Obviously we use this one here, and then our claims for different areas where we could get sand, where we could have our mangrove, what would you call it, farm out there. And then I don't remember what this one was. It's out where land owned by blockfellers. Oh, there is a monument out here, an ocean monument that we took over. So that was really fun. If you didn't see that episode, That one was hilarious. Go check that out because we adventured for a long time. But we kind of use this little village house as kind of our secret base, I guess, until we got offices upstairs. So I'm going to fly back up there. I'm trying to think if there's anything else down here. I don't think so, but keep that banner in mind as we fly back up to the factory. And let's see if I can do this without dying. Cool. Yep, did it. So we use those banners all over, and you'll see them kind of here. And if you were wondering from the beginning, why is there a tree in here? Well, we truly tried to take this banner pattern with this curve of the tree and the cherry blossoms up top and recreate it in our factory. So really our mascot or symbol, icon, I don't know what you're going to call it, is actually here in the factory, and it's represented on the actual banners. So that's why we have a tree in the middle of our factory. All right, and that's kind of getting us to the point where we've seen most of the factory. Now up here, you're going to notice kind of a walkway. Now there's some decorations here that we've pretended like this is helping us smelt this stuff. Impala built this awesome smelter where we can come over. We've got plenty of lava. We just chuck in what we need to smelt down. It smelts this down for us. And then with some other little decorations. But if we come up the stairs, and there's stairs on all four corners, it brings us up to this walkway. Now this walkway was really mostly for decoration so we could look down, but it also helped us get into our storage area, which out here you can see that concrete builder or the concrete machine. This is where our storage was. I tried to take over the server, and so I stored a whole bunch of stuff here, but I don't even think Impala ever noticed. So that's all gone. It's out in the end. It's helping us maybe take over the server. I don't know. But this was really just our storage and staging area. So you probably saw this in different parts of the series. Really being out where we tested redstone devices, where we tried to figure out some things. But that was really our staging area. But over on the other side, and we'll take the long way around so you can kind of see kind of the decoration, how these are hooked up into the ceiling. I actually really loved this aspect of the factory because it really started taking this empty shell that we had and giving it some life. But the last thing that we kind of did here was build out the offices. Oh, I love how this place turned out. The idea in here was that this was going to be our long term, where we had meetings with our customers, with any suppliers that they'd come in. We could jump into one of these seats and see ourselves sitting at the table. We could also get into conference mode where we were talking to the different people in here. Let's jump out of there. And then we've got a pool table just for decoration. We've got Impala's office with his lever so he could be working at his desk. And then a very similar office over here on my side. So we've basically got really cool offices, but unfortunately the season ended early, so we couldn't do as much in here as we wanted to, but this is where we would take over the server. Well, I don't know that we were ever really going to, but at least we were able to start selling a whole bunch of colored blocks, have all the dyes, have all the flowers that we needed. And so this factory really kind of helped us get there. All right, and that is a big overview of what this place was. We did so much building. As you can see, this place is pretty mega. I was super excited about how this place turned out and all the fun details we were able to add to it. So when you start seeing the Craftworks server download come out and check this out. It's a little bit hard to get to. You just got to get on the nether roof. But this place was so fun to build, and I kind of am sad that I have to leave it behind. But it's a fun build. It's always going to be in my memories, and it's on to season 2. So definitely come check that out when we kick it off. But come check this out on that world download. And until the next video, we'll talk to you soon.